talk about this briefly because I just want to get this out of the way. The Trump administration has announced that, or I should say is leaked, that they may be announcing as early as tomorrow, Tuesday, that they will now recognize Jerusalem as the capital of the state of Israel. And they're apparently going to call it West Jerusalem. That's their compromise.
No, nice. That'll really soothe tensions.
Yes, it's really going to help with the United States as being perceived as an honest broker, to the extent that there's any of that left anyways, in anything going forward. But why is it that we can have sort of such ridiculous foreign policy failures like this? What is wrong with the foreign policy establishment in this country? Well, it's easiest just to say the words Tom Friedman to explain to you. Here he is. He's talking about his latest piece in the New York Times on how Mohammed bin Salman, this is the prince, the Saudi prince, who basically did a purge. I guess it was now 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And there's been so much money pouring into the Washington foreign policy establishment that it's perceived as him cleaning house and doing right, moving Saudi Arabia into the 21st century. And he is the chief architect of the bombing and the blockading that is causing the disaster that is Yemen.
Also an instigator in Syria as well.
And of course, the United States is complicit in this in terms of offering the weapons.
And refueling.
And refueling. And simply not, and just standing by with a sort of like, sorry about the deal we made with Iran to keep the world from blowing up.
That was Obama. Destroy. Trump is, these are great guys.
That's right. But here is Thomas Friedman. He of the suck on this. He as of, well, I don't necessarily agree with all the reasons that the Bush administration wants to go to war in Iraq, but we should. He who was probably one of the single most relevant people to come out and thwart any type of pushback on Iraq because of how high he was held in esteem. Now, I do feel bad for him because he doesn't have the opportunity to embarrass himself in this way on Charlie Rose anymore. So he's got to go to the Brookings Institute to do it, and they're pretty psyched about it. But here he is, and understand, man, when he puts his he doesn't have his sort of Sky Mall leather jacket on to talk about this, but he's going to whisper a swear word, which is going to show how real tough and like I'm dealing with this, man. Listen to this guy's reasoning. He's basically going to tell you that Yemen is a disaster, and what we need to do is support the guy who has created this disaster in Yemen.
I got news for you. The entire Arab world is dysfunctional right now, completely dysfunctional. And I think it has the potential to be a giant Yemen, a giant human disaster area. And so when I see someone having the balls to take on the religious component of that, to take on the economic component, to take on with all of his flaws, okay? And with all due respect to his cousins, not a one of them would have had the balls to do that. That I want to invest just a little. I just want to stick my head up and say, God, I hope you succeed. And when you do that, the holy hell comes down on you. Okay, well, fuck that. Okay, is my view. Okay, so.
Yes. So let me just be clear. He's willing to take on certain components to prevent Yemen from to prevent the Arab world to becoming like Yemen. But this guy orchestrated the campaign that created Yemen, that made Yemen into Yemen, as Friedman. Do I have that right?
That is absolutely right. And if I may add, if I have the balls to just add a few more things to this. One is that MBS's plans for Israel and Palestine are actually to the right of even what American administrations have offered. He's on the board with the Jerusalem plan as well. And then the other thing is that all this stuff, when he talks about economic, I mean, first of all, the religious stuff, maybe there will be some like they've allowed women to drive. Okay, so maybe he wants to slightly loosen the grip of some of these religious people, but not in any type of structural way, and certainly not in terms of not funding them to go and spread discord all over the rest of the region in South Asia and Indonesia. And then when he talks about economic reform, there's two things. One is it's thousands of family members. So some of this is literally just like clawing back allowances, which like fair enough, but that's not a structural reform. That's just like, hey,
It's
you
just like,
lazy
I like-
ass fourth cousin,
Right.
you can't spend 10 grand a day in the Mediterranean anymore.
We're
That's-
going to give that. I'm going to give
Yeah,
your
we're gonna
10
give that
to my other cousin who
Yeah.
I like much better.
Exactly. Or who's like tighter into the family ring. Maybe we'll have like a group of 1,000 people we subsidize. And then the other part
The
is
economic reform is
and the other part is
completely based on him
austerity.
maintaining power.
Well, and the other part is just austerity and neoliberalism, which, like, frankly, if you're looking at how the Saudis actually made sure, going back to 2011, that they didn't have an uprising, they cracked down on people who were protesting and they viciously oppressed Shias, but they also immediately funnel more money into the social services. And people who are actual, like, citizens of Saudi have a pretty high living standards, as do people in the Emirates and actually Qatar. So if they did that, if they alienated religious people, created more conflict in the region, pissed off relatives, and then started slashing people's safety nets, how would that lead to more stability? If I may have the balls to say that. I don't think that Tom, I don't think he knows what the fuck he's talking about.
All right. Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos